It's a valid
if we're
question.
not
but
checking.
If the charter doesn't provide,
I agree.
it's a valid question, but if the charter doesn't specify, then you have the discretion, but certainly if you choose to make it just residents, of the city as participants, that's certainly, acceptable.
Maybe that's a change in the charter.
Maybe that should be
Yeah, I
a
was gonna
change
say,
in
it
the
seems to me
charter.
that's a charter issue to be considered.
Yes.
Question.
Yes,
Going back to the referendum issue, do I understand correctly that the city is precluded from putting a referendum item on the ballot?
That's what our agreement with the supervisor of elections states, that only candidate races will be put on their ballot. And we have not put any referendum issues on their ballot. The last time we had referendum issues, it was done during a standalone election. It was not on their ballot. So there's really no precedence to, recent precedence. really don't.
The reason that I mention that is I had brought up once before, we have had absolutely no success in negotiating an overlay, South County overlay agreement with the county. And I mentioned it here some months back. I was hoping that if we all agreed that we may want to consider putting it as a referendum item on our ballot, it wouldn't be binding in any way, but it would give an opportunity to the folks who live in the city to make their opinion, clearly voice their opinion concerning an overlay.
Also the county. I mean, can you talk to him about that? Because people vote in a general election more than just our city elections. So if we were going to have a referendum, it seems like we would want it on that ballot.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, getting the vote out on a what's considered to be a non-election year, an off
Right.
year, is a really challenging thing. And so if we had an important referendum, we would have to spend a lot of effort.
especially if
That's-
we
And it's
didn't have an
expensive for the-
election.
That's why
Mhm.
the recent bill that's coming through about elections was so debated, was because some of the, especially the smaller municipalities, felt like having their issues on the county's ballot resulted in undervoting, and people they were only interested in the major races, and so the local races weren't voted on, so there was a lot of undervoting.
Oh.
So, there are issues with that, there are bigger issues with it, with it being on the county's ballot.
And historically, our elections has only been one district the last couple of times we've even had one.
Well,
So
we've even had a contested
that's
race.
1/4 of our registered voter population that's even interested.
There was a 28% turnout at that election.
Former mayor had a comment. I think he's been on the charter review,
Steve
so
Fabian.
maybe he has some insight.
I was chairman of the last
Okay.
charter review committee. And we can, if you get the people picked fairly quickly, we could, I'm sure the committee can respond and if you can get it on the 2016 ballot, because what we did is we went item by item, and I forget how many meetings we had, but we had enough meetings, and we were able to do it in time, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm looking at the,
Yeah, I heard that as a volunteer for being chairman.
I am looking at the charter and the paragraph for the charter review committee. It is, I guess maybe a little vague. It says appointments to the charter review committee shall be made by the city council. That's as far as it goes.
Okay.
And we need a legal counsel.
In 2010, it was decided the city attorney could serve as legal counsel. However, due to, just to keep costs low, it was decided that it would not be necessary for the city attorney to attend every meeting of the committee, but rather for him to serve as, if they had questions,
At
that
their
he
will.
could serve in that capacity, just to answer questions
Okay.
and to maybe even review what their final product was before it went to council.
Mhm.
Is that acceptable?
Very acceptable.
Okay. Tom?
Would we be willing, or are we willing to pursue a conversation with the Board of Elections concerning a referendum on the ballot about South County overlay?
Maybe we should put that as an agenda item.
I'd be willing to have it as an agenda item.
This meeting turned into a whole nother meeting.
Mhm.
We've created a whole nother meeting's worth of agenda items. That's what happens when we have discussions.
Come up with one more, so that way when we negotiate with, we'll drop it from 3 to 2.
So you're okay with the
We're okay.
7-member, 2
Everybody's okay.
alternates? And
Two. So should we come up with two
what
or
time
three?
frame do you, I don't know, do you want 2 or 3?
Two?
3, I mean, 3 would give us if you designate your person, and then the other 2 to vote from, I think it gives us a bigger pool of people. Only having 5 to vote from, yeah, it could, somebody would back out, or.
So you want us to give 3?
3 people from our district?
Yeah, and then we're gonna
I
vote
think-
anyway and take 2 at large and 2 alternates,
Are
right?
they all from our
correct.
district, or are they just,
No,
one
one,
definitely from the district and the other
One
two?
has to be from your district, and the others
Okay,
are.
because
okay.
you might get duplicates,
Okay,
Yes.
because it's not like we can talk about who we're gonna select.
That's correct, but then that, we could still obviously, we would put that person's name on the list one time. to
Okay.
vote from.
mhm,
So 3 names?
okay.
And
names.
how
By
much
when?
time would you like to, before we bring this back to get the,
February meeting, first one in February.
First one in
That gives
February.
us time to talk to people and see if they're interested.
Okay,
actually, if you would like, you can just
Submit them
give
to
your
you.
names to me, and
Okay.
then the next agenda item would be voting on the alternates and at large.
Okay, that would,
Okay.
I still think first meeting in February.
Okay.
yeah,
When you
Okay.
talk to
And I-
them, I'm sorry, when you talk to them, make sure they understand that it is a sunshine meeting, because there's
Okay.
some that may not want to participate if that's the case.
Okay.
okay,
And that we will need them to fill out the board appointment form, and, if they have a resume, that's not required though.
Okay.
But we'd like them to fill out that form, they have to be willing to do that.
Could you maybe send us the detail, email the detail to us so we know
Mhm.
how to speak with them?
Absolutely.
mhm.
Okay,
Okay.
you have more items?
Under boards and committees, we have a 3-year term on the Burnt Store Isles Canal Advisory Committee, and a vacancy, it's an unexpired term, on the General Employees Pension Board. That's a continuing vacancy. And that's all I have under boards and committees.
No people.
So we haven't had any interested parties on the General Employees Pension Board?
We do not.
Any requirements for that position?
No.
Okay,
No. City
Okay.
resident.
okay,
Just a city resident? Okay.
okay.
Of course, we would, it's the General Employees Pension Board. We
Right.
would like somebody with some
Pension
financial
experience,
background,
right.
but it's
Yeah, that's a
preferred,
given. I was
preferred, but
just-
not required.
I was just wondering.
They meet quarterly,
Only quarterly.
so we haven't had any issues with quorums,
We have not,
Okay.
not so far.
because we're only missing one person, okay.
Mhm.
Can a city employee, can another city employee that's also a city resident apply? Can we get another employee on that board if they're a
There's-
city
there-
resident?
There are rules there that need to be 2 from the,
We have those two, but could they?
If,
That I'm-
I don't think, well, I'd have to take a look. If there's no prohibition, there's no reason why an employee can't be on the pension board, because it wouldn't necessarily
It's not a
inure to
conflict.
their immediate direct benefit.
Well, maybe
They're a
if it's
larger
legal, we
class.
could ask city employees that are city residents if they would like to take the spot, possibly.
Okay.
Because it's part of the issue, the fact that they're kind of, I mean, this is what I took away from our last update, is that they're having to kind of scale back on actually managing, they're limiting what they are Is that true, Dave? Am I making something up? That they're actually getting out of some of their different aspects of what they were doing because the plan is closed? That's what I'm trying to get at. Which may make it a little,
For the
Less-
record, Dave Drury,
less
Finance
appealing?
Director. What they're doing is they're diversifying in a different direction. They've gotten into real estate, gotten more into international. They are considering, with the fact that the plan is closed, they have to, their Infinity is, of course, they invest for Infinity. Well, that has been starting to squash down, and they are doing that. But definitely, they've changed what they're looking at. They're wondering what's going to happen with the bond market and that type of thing. But yes, real estate was one big thing, and then the international.
okay,
David, I'm not the expert, as you are. The concern, or something I see, is if you have an employee that's also a member of the pension plan, you would then have 3 employees that are members of the pension plan voting. Could that be a problem?
Depends on how that ordinance is drafted.
Okay.
It says that there shall be at least 2.
Yes, it says 2, and then you have 2 citizens
yeah,
and
so-
1 at large. Now,
If the language doesn't preclude having more than 2, we should be okay.
okay. All right.
If I could, I think it's more because of where the plan is going and that it's closing down and that the direction is going to be more towards defined benefit, not defined benefit, but like.
Defined contribution.
Yeah, yeah.
well,
I-
he's
I-
saying more stable bonds. What are we trying to say? More like forced returns instead of variable.
Yes, so I think it's important for us to keep it open and try and
Okay.
get somebody.
Okay,
Yeah, I would not urge a third employee to be on the plan.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't urge it.
I would agree.
okay. Okay, policy and legislation, Mayor, I don't think I have anything, no. I would just like to reiterate what you said about our police departments and the sheriff's office working together to solve a situation. And also that our police chief started coffee with the chief. And if you did not see the logo that one of our officers created for this program, it's really nifty. It's on their Facebook page, and I just would like to commend him for opening up the conversation with the community. I think it's really important, and it's great to see that. That's all I have. Council member comments. Kim?
Nothing, just Happy New Year. Looking forward to another great year in Punta Gorda.
I would just like to acknowledge our representatives from the MPO, Mr. Harrington and Mr. Gary Harrell. And Bob did stop me in the hallway a little earlier and mentioned that he would be working with us and staff to try and get some money, some bicycle money for us.
Give us some money. Gary?
Well, I want to wish everybody a happy new year. I just have to say that the couple of months now that I've been doing this, I'm totally impressed, not only with our police and fire department, but everybody, both on staff and with you guys. And it's been, I'm looking forward to continuing. So anyway, happy new year, everybody. I hope you all, wish you all well.
Thank you. Nancy?
I have no general comments, but Happy New Year as well to everyone, and it'll be a great year for us all.
Thank you. Citizens' comments?
Ray Rose, resident of Punta Gorda Isle Civic Association. I feel like I've been ignoring you, so I'm back. Councilman Kavanaugh kind of stole my thunder for today because it wanted to readdress the overlay for the South County. In the paper, about a week, maybe 2 weeks ago, there was a comment that the county commissioners wanted to actively pursue activity to improve the appearance of 41 north of the bridge, because they felt that it was so important how it represents our county. Well, south of the bridge, they've got an easy solution, and that is to approve the overlay, which will prevent the situation from developing that they have north of the bridge. I have had occasion to talk to 2 commissioners, and in both, one commissioner had to be reminded of what the South County overlay was, But in both cases, they said, oh yeah, we thought that was a done deal, but it's never come forward. So obviously, something has stopped. Folks, we have spent, I think, 11 or 12 years on this issue. I don't know how much staff time. We've had public hearings. We've gone through it. It's just criminal, in my mind, that they haven't even had the decency to bring it up for a vote. And I don't know how we do it, if you can do it one-on-one with your commissioners or what, but it's wrong to allow it to go away, because I think, David, this is the complete third rewrite over the years of the ordinances. And then, on that topic, I think I got my message across. On the subject of the ballot, when the recommendation, I was on the first committee, 2 committees back, and I think we had 10 or 12 changes that were recommended. And if I recall correctly, every one of those had to be listed separately for a vote. And that's part of the problem on the long ballot. Third comment is, I'd like to congratulate you on pushing forward on the, what I'll call the Marine Center, because I think that's going to have impact on a lot more than just what we put there. Because if it's small, it's one thing. If you go to a very large center, that could impact things like the impact building, the yacht clubs, even us, PGICA, what we do with our building and what happens in those buildings. So the sooner that that gets out and gets formulated, it'll help everybody with their own plans to develop what they want to do in the future. Happy New Year, and you guys do a great job, and the city staff here is the best in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.
Steve Fabian. Again, thank you for bringing common sense back to Christmas. There's a law coming up, the legislature, that could affect and hamper our Marine Patrol officer on the waters. It's a law that says that he can no longer stop a boat to inspect whether or not they've been illegally fishing or they don't have the safety equipment on board. I think that the council should think about maybe sending some kind of memorandum to our local representatives that this is a bad law because it is going to hamper what our officer can do on the water. And it's coming up for a vote at the legislature.
Thank you.
Could we
Any
look
other
into that?
citizens' comments? Seeing none, we are adjourned.